Welcome, sports fans, to episode number 10 of the Sports Roundtable Trio Edition, your favorite sports podcast. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Big Boy and Coop. Little different. We got it in person this time. Thanksgiving break. We're all here. How we doing, boys?
Stuffed like some sardines, but we're good, you know?
Yes, sir. Doing good. Ready for the rivalry week here and this week in football. It's gonna be some good games here.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, with that being said, we had a not too very hot weekend this past weekend in the picks, guys.
Except for me.
Even
I did in the pros.
I mean, I did pretty well. So, but
it was a little hit or miss. But we don't have. We know the guest picker did not take over the lead, so we're just gonna put that out there now. We still got the guest picker hanging up top strong at 12-3 NCAA, and then 11-4 NFL. But with that being said, we're gonna go right over the coop. We got a big Texas matchup this weekend, trying to clinch that Big 12 title spot. Who they got this weekend, Coop?
they got my school this week, guys. It's been I've been waiting for this one. I've been waiting to get my get back. I went to the game last year. It was a tough loss in overtime, but I'm ready to get my get back. So I think the boys have a good chance of doing well this weekend. Number one key for the Texas defense is to stop Tajay Brooks. Okay, he's averaging 5.4 yards a carry. He has 250 carries on the season, so they're giving the ball to him a freaking ton, right? He's getting yards, 1,300 yards on the season. I think that is the most in the Big 12. I believe. Is that correct?
Maybe most broken tackles. I know that.
Yeah. Okay. So they have a good running offense. You know, they can hit you over the top some. Morton's going to play, but. It all comes down to stopping old Maynard boy, guy from right down the road. So you got to stop him. So yeah, that's what I have for the offense there. And hey, 9 yards of carry last week. 9 yards in the game. Sorry, 9 yards in the game last week. And so Texas does have that opportunity to do that. So
I definitely think that I'm not worried as much about the run game. I really think that this defense is built for the run, and they're not going to be able to. I do kind of worry about McGuire and other things. Him in the passing game, he's the type of coach that if something's working, he's going to do it. He's going to keep doing it. And again, like we've been talking all season, the underneath patterns, the slants. I am worried about that, but I personally believe that. They should go in here and handle this game.
Yeah, and then you also have to be ready on fourth down. We've seen in the past they go for it. Yeah. So you got to be ready. If you can't be like, 3 downs. No, you're playing all 4 downs. Yeah. You got to be ready to do that. They get that fourth down 64% of the time. They're 22 for 34 on fourth down this year.
Pretty sure I saw something the other day. It was like 32. It was like 32 straight fourth downs like they've gone for, and just and they almost get them every time. And so if y'all missed Tuesday's On the Edge episode, make sure and tune in to that. We kind of talked about Texas game last week against Iowa State, how that was kind of the first game, at least for last 4 games, where we were really not worried about that lead being blown. I guess we could all say. And that was more of a complete showing from the guys. So make sure y'all tune into that. And hopefully that game gets them going. Hopefully they just get rolling and come into this weekend. And I said it on Tuesdays on the Edge episode. I could see easily a 21 point win. And if that happens, whoever they play in the Big 12 championship, you're playing a hot Texas team now, and that's dangerous. So, this is the weekend to do it at home on senior day. Got a lot of seniors going. So,
well, they should. They should win by that much. I think they still have something to win for. I would say it's not, not necessarily not trying to lose, but they have to win. You still have to go win this game to go to the Big 12 championship game. 100%. You know, they can lose this game and still go get there somehow, but that's putting your fate in something else, you know? So you go take care of business, you go do your job, you go win, like we've been saying the past weeks. You go by week, you win, and you know, you're 100% going there.
I mean, there's been so many times Texas Tech has killed our dreams. I mean, it's happened 3 times.
They play them hard.
Yes.
I mean, they
And
play them
who
hard.
says Texas Tech Super Bowl? They're going to come to play, no doubt. And there's nothing more they'd like than to you know, kill our dreams of the Big 12 or, you know, anything beyond that. But I think Sark is going to definitely have them ready. Hopefully, it's been bulletin board material, you know, with all McGuire and you know, commissioner is going to be there. So I definitely think that
That commissioner, man.
I think they're going to be pumped up for this one.
They better be. That commissioner deserves to be there and watch Texas whip that ass.
Hope he leaves at halftime.
Hope he does.
I
He
hope
should get out of that
Conte-
halftime.
Hopefully, he doesn't even give him a free ticket. He doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Hell no. F
Make
him.
him pay for that shit. Make him pay.
They can pay that $600 a ticket or $300 in nosebleed.
Listen, Chris Del Conte, if you're giving him a free ticket, I mean, the trio at least needs something. We can't be paying $400 for those nosebleeds tickets. So, but anybody that's willing to give us some tickets for this game,
Texas
I mean,
must be good this year, boys. Playing Texas Tech and the nosebleeds are $300.
This is the last time they'll play probably for a long time. I know people have said that they were going to keep them on the schedule, but I don't see that happen. I think Texas wants to kind of move on from that. So,
And then flipping over a little bit to the offensive side, you know, Baxter had a good game last week. You know, he found a scheme that worked against the Iowa State defense, which we said was important. So I think they should do that. I want to see going back to last year's game. His first, if y'all remember, the first drive of that last year's game, we got the ball first. I mean, it was creative. I mean, they made it look freaking easy. Like they had it drawn up. I mean, it was impossible to stop. I want to see some creativeness on that play calling. I want to see a little bit more of that. Just like last year in the first drive. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I do want to see a little bit more creative play calling. But hey, like I said last week, you run the ball, you open up other things. So
I mean, that was all last year. It seemed like they were creative the first script, and then we'd lose the game after that. So I like, no matter what, man, to me, this Texas team is a lot tougher, a lot mentally, you know, they're gonna finish. They want to finish, and I know we haven't liked the way they finished, but you know what? We have 10 wins.
So 10-1.
10.
I think at the
wins.
end of the day, it's hard for the committee to. I mean, looking forward, if they do win out, you know, it's hard for the committee not to see, you know,
They got
not
to
to see
just
that.
beat
So
Tech. Just beat Tech.
I know that's what I'm saying, week by week, but
Because
There you go.
we'll talk later on, but I do think there's going to be some people taking L's
Oh
that
yeah.
are in front of us.
I think so too.
Yep.
I think so too.
And just like he mentioned, make sure you stay tuned in the rest of the episode. We got plenty of NCAA talk with a big Thanksgiving weekend, plenty of big games.
Rivalry games.
Finally going to have some top 10 teams lose and probably see some real movement in those rankings next week. We got some thoughts on some head coaching searches. And of course, in the NFL, packed Thanksgiving Day games, weekend games. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, we'll show our 3 picks, our locks going into this weekend, as well as Kobe will not be joining us, but we do have his locks of the weekend. He wanted to make sure that y'all got those. So we're going to make sure y'all get those as well. But you mentioned it, how the run kind of opened up that offense of the pass. I still just think it's different for the Texas team. Like I mentioned last week, it's the pass for them that gets that run going, especially now with Baxter not being as more explosive dynamic as that Brooks runner is. You saw the pass started opening up that first half. In the second half, that's when they were able to run the ball more, finally able to run the clock out, make some plays. Jaden Blue, good 4th down and 1 run. I mean, I love going for it there, not making them prove it, run the clock out. So we'll see heading into this weekend. I mean, they obviously need to keep the same energy. Hopefully PK keeps that same fire in the play calling in the 4th quarter and keeps those dudes aggressive, because that was the first time the defense was in the 4th quarter in a long time has been flying around the ball like that, making tackles, making plays. So
I really think that Quinn and Sark are starting to really like grow up in front of our eyes. Especially Quinn. I know Sark has been a head coach before, but you know, he really that last game, his play calling, I think, was very, very on point. And he was working towards what Quinn was good at. And I think Quinn is getting healthier and he is getting much better as a quarterback, being able to read more and trusting himself. And I do think Quinn is going to have a great game. I think Quinn is about to show us why he's, was that 5-star talent.
No doubt. I mean, it's at home. Weather should be nice. I mean, it's a great time to let the ball loose and some of those deep passes. But that's the thing is kind of staying. They had Jay Witt and Sanders involved a lot in that game plan last weekend, and I mean, I think it needs to stay like
Big
that.
Boy's been saying that all year.
Just give it to Jay Witt 7 times. He'll do what he has to.
I mean, because not only was it Sanders, but then you had Gunnar Helm too making some plays, and I mean, I think if Sanders does end up leaving next year, which more than likely he probably will, I mean, Gunnar Helms, I think he's ready to step into that role. He's a better blocker than Sanders is. Obviously not as good as a receiving threat, but people thought there was going to be so much of a drop off with Sanders leaving, going to Gunnar Helm. I mean, I think Gunnar Helm would be just fine without Sanders this year. I mean, he's made plays when he's needed to. He gets open. I mean, he's got good hands. So
he also gets open because who else? There's only so many people you can guard, and he's definitely the last guy probably they're expecting. But you could tell that play for Gunnar was drawn up. I mean, that was Gunnar's play. So, that's the type of thing I think Sark is really, really keying in, and his play calling is good. I really think that this game against Texas Tech, they're gonna come out firing. I do.
No doubt. Well, looking around the rest of the college football landscape, we'll come back and hit Texas later on our picks. But new playoff rankings came out. Finally had a little bit of movement with that number 5, number 4 spot. Washington jumping to number 4. Florida State falling to number 5. I mean, it was deserving because obviously that was a big win for Washington to jump up to number 4. But now with Florida State, they're kind of in that position where you're outside looking in, and I don't think they could afford to have dropped that spot now because I don't see them getting back.
Well, why do you think they dropped that spot? They won that game still. Why did they drop the spot? Because they're quarterback, right?
Well, not only that, but I mean, Washington beat a good team and got another good ranked win, and their record is win-wise and how the wins look is better than what Florida State looks like now.
I agree.
I think it would have happened if that quarterback did not get hurt either way. Now, if he didn't get hurt, yeah, there's still a chance that they could jump back in. But now with that quarterback hurt and they're outside looking in, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think Florida State. I don't agree with that. I think Florida State would stay where they're at, but I do think that it's going to be tough for them, especially going into the swamp this weekend. I think that's where they take their L.
It's a big rivalry game. Yeah. So at Florida. So
well, at least as a UT fan, we hope so.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, with all these rankings, big games with all these top ranked teams, saw a thing the other day. It was if 3 of the following of these teams lose a game coming up this week or conference championship, and Texas, of course, takes care of business, beats Tech how they should, wins the Big 12. If 3 of the following from these lose a game, which you got Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State, right? One of Ohio State and Michigan is going to lose this weekend, so there's one of them.
It's going to be Ohio State, but keep going.
We mentioned Florida State on that court backup QB. We'll see what happens there. They got Florida and then Louisville. Could lose either one. Washington and Oregon probably going to rematch unless Oregon falls this week into Oregon State. They're going to rematch in the Pac-12, so one of them's gone. And these are all the teams who are in front of Texas, mind you. Then you're going to have Alabama and Georgia in the SEC championship game. So whether Georgia beats Alabama, that just knocks Alabama off, which is behind Texas, or Alabama knocks Georgia off. I mean, who knows what happens there?
To me, it's tough. I don't know if you can, lose to the number 1, 2, or 3 team and drop behind Texas. I don't know. I mean, that's for the committee to decide. I still think it's going to be tough for Texas to get in here. I think, again, let's win the Big 12, all that, but I do believe that, if Michigan and Ohio State, that's their only loss, to the other one, like that's tough to.
That's tough, but then they're not, one's not
They
making the
can play, yeah.
one's not making the conference championship.
Yeah.
So that's the double-edged sword
I
there.
mean, I could see it. I could see it like obviously that I could very well see the loser of that game staying ranked ahead of Texas going into the conference championship weekend. But if Texas goes into the Big 12 championship and wins that, then I think that's where they're going to make that jump. And the only way one of whoever the loser is of Michigan, Ohio State, I think the only way that they're going to get in is if some of these other teams lose, like Washington loses and Florida State loses. So then you can have those two, one SEC and Texas in. But for that to happen, that game up in Ann Arbor has to be a close game for either team. I think if one of them, I would say if Ohio State wins the game by like 3 points or less, 5 points or less, then I could see like both of those hanging around still in that top 4 range. But we saw this scenario on the playoff committee show, and it had these records finished after the conference championships, and you have Ohio State 11-1. You got Washington 12-1. So they got Washington losing the Pac-12 championship game. You got Georgia 12-1, losing the SEC championship game. You got Texas 12-1, Big 12 champ. You got Oregon 12-1, Pac-12 champ. Bama, of course, 12-1, SEC champ, taking down Georgia. Florida State somehow stays undefeated without their quarterback, 13-0, ACC champ. Michigan takes down Ohio State this weekend, and then Iowa, 13-0, Big 10 champ. I mean, who's your 4 teams there?
Well, you're going to see what the committee really thinks about and like how their method is of choosing these teams, because that's a nightmare for them to work out there. But you're going to find out how they think.
UT just needs to beat Texas Tech, go to the Big 12. All this will figure itself out, because again, I do think Florida State's going to take an L and they'll be out of it. I hope Washington and Oregon to take losses.
They might,
and they can.
They can.
I mean, I think it just definitely needs to be one of those teams need to, whether it's Florida State or just not even looking for Texas' sake, like say it was some other team that wasn't Texas, right? I think those 4 teams, you would still have your Big 12 champ. You would have Michigan. You would have the SEC champ. I mean, those 3. And then it comes down to that spot is if like, do you take Georgia at 12-1, who just lost an SEC championship game, or do you take Oregon 12-1 Pac-12? That's who I think the last spot would come down to, because they're going to put Bama in. They're going to put the Big 12 champ in. They're going to have undefeated Michigan in. So it comes down to a spot. Do you take Oregon, who's the Pac-12 champ, right? 12-1, but then you against Georgia 12-1.
And how do you not take Georgia? I mean,
who's won 2 back-to-back?
I mean,
that shouldn't matter, but it does.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, for sure.
So I mean, we'll see what happens, right? A lot can happen this weekend, but a lot really could not. I mean, obviously, one of Michigan and Ohio State's going to lose, but all these other teams could keep winning, and then it'll really come down to next weekend. I mean, those conference championships are going to be fun to watch and really see how it plays out. We know all the college football fans, and I'm sure all of us were hoping it was a 12-team playoff this year, because that'd be a very interesting 12-team playoff, especially with the top 4 teams having a bye and then those highest seeds like getting to play at home. I mean, I think that's something will be really cool to watch come next year. And like as a fan of a team going to
a playoff game,
like a playoff game, first round, home field, like I mean that's just got to be cool. I mean, the environment for some of those games are already be crazy, but then you get to play hopefully a team that maybe you've never even played before.
Yeah,
so it was a bowl game. So I'm sure they were wishing it was this year, and hopefully they're wishing it's kind of stays the same next year, same problems. But speaking of that, we talked about Oregon. They got a big matchup against Oregon State this weekend, at home. Line's big.
That line is big though.
It's big.
It's a lot bigger than what I expected. So what does that tell you? You know,
I'm hoping the Beavers pull the upset, man, but it's going to be tough. Oregon's clicking. Bo Nix is clicking. It's going to be tough.
well, he's about 30. So I said he's been playing college football for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
So if you're not good at that level,
Think of that. Cam Rising's coming back.
yeah, him too.
Utah and Utah.
Him too.
There's no way they don't win the Big 12 next year. I mean, maybe Arizona,
Yeah.
but I mean, who else? Like Colorado ain't gonna be shit still. Tech's not
You
gonna
don't
be
know what
shit.
TCU is going to be.
Maybe TCU, maybe OK State if Gungy can still figure out just ways to win.
Hey,
Um,
we might have, UT might have to play them in
Yeah.
the Big 12. That's that dude, he always pulls out wins, man.
No doubt.
He's a great coach.
I mean, I would like to see Oregon State take down Oregon, but if that happens and Arizona beats Arizona State, I believe Arizona gets into the Pac-12 championship against Washington. So then you take in a case like, can Arizona really beat Washington after
You wanna
Washington?
beat 'em?
No, Washington lost.
No, didn't
Oh yeah, Washington already beat Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was way more handily than what they beat Oregon. So obviously, if you're wanting Washington to lose, you're going to want Oregon in that Pac-12 championship game. So it's kind of a which one do you really want? We'll see what happens. Playoff sake, I mean, if Texas can still get in if they win outright, and even if Washington does win the Pac-12, then that just means you need Florida State to drop. So we'll see what happens there. But speaking of some head coaching searches, we mentioned, right, none other than Texas A&M. Hottest one out there right now. UCLA soon to be soon. Which I don't know how they're getting rid of Chip Kelly after he just
But
went.
is that a definite?
I mean, they came out and
I
said
thought he was gone.
before the game, like he's going to finish the season, but he's gone, and then he goes and just rails USC and Lincoln Riley and finishes their season off at 7 on 5.
I don't know what
7-5.
UCLA expects. I mean,
I mean,
he's a good coach. He's won 10 games like 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to win 11, 12 games every year.
Yeah.
It's just not. You don't get the fan base for that. Like you don't get the support. So until you should figure out your fan base situation and getting some attendance at those games, then you can maybe fire a head coach. But I mean, we talked about it Tuesdays on the Edge. Look back at that. We really think Lincoln Riley's flirting with some big donors out there. Year 1 still, or year 2. But I mean,
He's going on too many vacations on his private jet, like I said.
maybe a bad spot there. But going back to A&M. I know the last couple of days it's been a lot of Jeff Traylor, Mike Elko, but then just randomly, I don't know, you never know how much truth there is to it, or maybe it's just Michigan people starting it up before the weekend, but there's been a lot of Ryan Day talk with Texas A&M guys. What do we think about that?
I do not see that happen at all, but money talks, and I mean, or maybe it's his agent throwing it out there so he can get a little more money from Ohio State. I mean, that's how a lot of that works. But
well, then what? He's lost 3 times in a row against Michigan.
If he loses this week,
If he loses this week, he'll be losing 3 times in a row. Hey, they don't put up with that at Ohio State. Man. You can't lose that game 3 times in a row.
Which I mean, we talked about it though, but you're going to run away from that. But then you're going to go right to A&M, who's starting up the biggest rivalry in their history of their sport with Texas.
Right again, next year.
Year 1 as a head coach, like you lose, like even if you lose that game year 1, then you're already getting dogged for that. So I mean, that's a
tough job to walk into. I don't see it either, but
I mean, I don't know. I really don't know why you would. I mean, it's not like you're struggling to get talent up there at Ohio State. Like you're getting everything you need. Just finish the job 1 game. That's all you got to do. Just win 1 more game. So we'll see. Speaking of that matchup, Ohio State, Michigan, we talked about it a little bit. What are our thoughts, really, what that game is going to be like this weekend? Obviously, no hardball. What are we thinking with how those quarterbacks are going to play, right? There's kind of been the hit or miss on those quarterbacks all year. McCarthy really hasn't had to show too much just because Michigan's running game has been so good. Obviously, Ohio State's defense is good. So what do we think about that game?
I think the boys are going to come play for all Coach Harbaugh. I think I like that intern head coach. I think he's doing good. I'm gonna say Michigan at home, man. I think Michigan at home. I think they get the ball rolling, run the ball. I think they're looking at it, they're the best running team in the nation, in my opinion. So I think they're gonna come get it done for the boy.
I'm going Ohio State. I just think it's time. I think he's gonna get that W.
Now, either way, it is going to be a really, really physical football game.
it's
I
gonna
mean,
be-
it
okay.
is just
Yep.
crazy. It's going to be a physical football game. So,
No doubt. I mean, I think even if hardball, like obviously makes somewhat of a difference, but I still got Ohio State either way. The big matchup, it's kind of be like whenever Ohio State played Penn State, right? It was the quarterbacks, what quarterback's going to step up and play and take their team to the next level whenever they got to make plays, because at some point they're going to bail out to stop that run. And it's going to turn into, can JJ McCarthy turn into a quarterback that throws the ball more than 12 attempts a game and makes some plays downfield? And can Kyle McCord get the ball to Marvin Harrison and some of his other weapons out there and see what they can do? Because you already know they're going to be keyed into Marvin Harrison. I think and Jigba's back for them. So they got some other dudes that can go out there and catch the ball from McCord. So I look for a big game from that receiving core against Michigan. But we'll
it's
see.
funny because one team has the best running back and the other team has the best receiver. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be two different offenses. Yeah, two good defenses. So we'll see who comes out with that one.
Well, we'll see what happens in the NCAA weekend. Like we said, NFL just as packed, right? You got your 3 Thanksgiving Day games, which we'll have our picks on those later. Putting in now for the game episode we know is coming out after the games happen, but we'll have the picks in before the games. But speaking of the NFL, one of the first games on Thanksgiving, I think it's game 2. Cowboys, Commanders, big boys, Cowboys. They're rolling.
He's back on him, man. He's back on him.
I was never off. That was just mental warfare. That's all.
Just mental warfare. But I do have to say, for these Cowboys, they're hot. They've been playing good. They've been beating these teams that they've been playing how they should. Now, they still have not played a top level team in the league. Even probably 50% of the top level teams they've not played since they really got rolling. So
they played the Eagles, and I mean they lost, but
exactly,
and
still a loss.
And the 49ers.
Well, that was before. That was before they got rolling. Since they got rolling, like they played all these teams who are lower level NFL. Yes, good wins, right? But you go out there and do what you should. Some of these other teams don't do that to these lower teams. I mean, going in with the Commanders, I mean, it's the same thing. Another low level team. I mean, I could see that Cowboys winning a good win again. Just keep raising that high. But I'm just saying, Cowboys fans, be careful, because the second they go play a good team and you're on this high, it may be a little rude awakening real quick because of that. The run game is still a problem, and I don't know what they need to do to figure that out. But you're not going to be able to throw the ball to CD 15 times every game for 150 yards against these top level teams.
They don't. To me, they don't have the backs to make that happen, and so.
I mean, what Pollard just got one touch,
and
he scored his first touchdown since the first game of the season.
Yeah.
So you got to get him the ball.
But he's coming off injury too, so my hope is that he's getting back into it. I personally never thought he was a every down back like that, and I think he was great when he came in with Zeke, to kind of spell him and bring a change of pace. But hey, man, we have who we have. So
let Deuce Vaughn ball. Give him the ball.
I think there's probably a reason he's not. I love Deuce. I love him, but I'm not there at practice. But there's probably a reason he's not playing.
I'm sure. Well, speaking of Sunday's game, we got, of course, Kobe's and Coop. I guess you could say they're Houston Texans coming off another good win after CJ Stroud having probably his worst game of his career. I mean, 3 picks, but still found a way to win. Defense coming up big, helping them win. But They go home this weekend, big divisional matchup against the Jags, who are playing pretty good
Who
too.
they beat already.
They beat them already, but they come in as the underdogs this weekend. Why?
Right.
Why is that?
I think obviously it's hard to beat a team twice, no matter what level you're at. I think beating a team twice is pretty tough. Also, I think, going back to CJ, I think he has, he's gonna have a rookie game eventually, right? I mean, he's been playing not like a rookie. So I going back to last week, he had a rookie game, but you got guys pick him up and they end up finding a way to win the football game. So you have, you just go play football, go play nose football. But
I'm taking that.
Big boy says they're taking that.
Right.
Have a good thing.
hey, we would watch the Cowboys right now. We would destroy the Cowboys. CJ would have about 300 on that Cowboys defense a year, his big boy. 300, 3 TDs. Tank down, 3 TDs.
This ain't the Colts.
Oh,
You
come
ain't
on.
playing the Colts.
Oh.
Ain't playing the Colts, he says. Well, that'd be hopefully get like maybe like a little Super Bowl matchup between the
Little
two,
Texas Super Bowl.
two Texas teams there. That'd be nice.
I think one of them's not going to be there, and that's the Texans.
Oh yeah, right. We're a clear path to win that division.
The division.
Clear path to win the division and go in the playoffs.
The division.
Had the best quarterback and the best
First
coach.
division in the
The
league.
best quarterback and the best coach in the league.
See, I think the AFC East is probably the worst division. I mean, you got the Dolphins carrying it, but the NFC East is still pretty bad too. I mean, you got the Cowboys and Eagles up top, but I mean, you still got the Giants and the old Commanders.
Commanders are coming on though. I think they'll end up firing Ron and let the enemy go ahead and take over. I think that happens after this week. I'm calling it. The enemy will be the coach next week.
Well, before we head over to our picks and Kobe's locks of the week, and we got one more NFL topic. Big Boy kind of just mentioned it, some head coaching firings. We mentioned it on Tuesdays on the Edge. Coop was Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans head coach. They come into a game this weekend against the Panthers, right?
That's an awful game.
Who loves the owner loves to fire their head coaches. Now, yes, first year, one win with Bryce Young at the helm. Of course, there's been chatter just because of how much he loves to fire head coaches for whatever reason that is, doesn't let him ride out. But do we think if the Titans lose to the Panthers this weekend, I mean, does that put that final nail in the coffin?
What, it'd be 3-8 or something?
I mean, I think it'd be
I think it's 3-7 right now.
I think it'd be 3-9.
Or 3 something like that.
You have the Texans and the Jags who have a lot of wins and same division as you, and you're losing to the 1-win Panthers.
For me, it'd be hard. I don't know. I just like him so much that I don't see it happening, but results are results. And I mean, it's a possibility. And it is. And I mean, you're playing with the new quarterback and got rid of Tannehill. It's just, I don't know, man. I just like Vrabel so much.
Yeah.
But maybe his time has came, man.
Maybe it has. We will find out. Well, coming up next, we're going to give you our picks of the weekend, our couple locks of the weekend. And then, of course, before we head out, we're going to show you Kobe's locks of the weekend. He's got some NFL and some NCAA upsets brewing. So we'll show you those before you have a good Thanksgiving weekend. But coming up right now, we're going to give you our NFL and college picks of the weekend. Coming up now, we got our picks for the weekend. Of course, we got a couple locks for you in there as well. I'm sure Coop's going to give us like 5 locks just because
I have one for college. Hey, sorry all my locks hit. So
I don't know about that.
Sorry all my locks hit. My 9 wins in college last week said so.
But I'm pretty sure your locks lost.
They probably did lose. But hey, my other picks won. So
we'll jump right over to the college ranks. No guest picker tonight, so y'all haven't seen the games yet. So what we'll do first is throw this up for you. so you can kind of see the games that we're picking. And then we'll go through and I'll show you who we got on the weekend, and then we'll go through the locks. But those are the games. If you want to pause it there and look at them, really get into that detail if you're following our picks. But then here are our college picks of the weekend. All right, Coop. Who you got for your locks?
My lock, I got one college lock this week. This line's pretty freaking crazy. Washington State plus 16.5. Washington State's playing good football. Washington, we know, need them to lose. So I don't think they're gonna lose, but I definitely do think Washington State plus 16.5 is a good one.
Hey, shut up. Sorry about that, fellas. The dog is going crazy. My lock, I also had Oregon State. I mean, I have Oregon State
Oh wow.
plus 13.5, and I also have Florida plus 6.5. Now, this might be just because I want them to lose outright. So
Made money line that.
yeah, take that if you want. You know what I mean? This is might be more of an emotional pick.
All right. Well, I do like the Florida one. I think that line's a little too low for that
Being in the
game.
swamp too.
So I'm gonna go with Florida's lock as well. And then I also like Missouri line. I think that was like 9.5 or 7.5, I think it was. So that's 7.5 lock. I'm gonna go with that for my two locks. And then now over to the NFL action, show you the games we're picking from. And then we'll show you who we got. NFL games, right? We already talked about them. Jam-packed weekend. Couple spread out. Got a Friday NFL game. A little different this week, right? 3 Thursday games on Thanksgiving. Got just a different mojo going. You got some big games with a bunch of different lines. So with that, here's our picks. And Coop, who is your locks?
I got one NFL lock this week. We all three picked them to win. I got the Steelers -1 this week. Very good pick there. The Steelers are finding out a way to win. It's pretty much a pick 'em. So whoever's winning that game is gonna win that bet. So they're finding out a way to win. So no matter how their team looks, they're winning. So you can't argue with that.
No doubt. Who you got?
I like the Ravens -3.5, and also Bill Belichick is gonna make Danny DeVito's life hell this week.
Yeah,
I like the Patriots -3.
I agree.
Well, that's interesting. My first one is the New York Giants.
Wow.
Coming off a big win to the Commanders. I think the Patriots are done. Mac Jones is on his way out. I don't know if they've potentially benched him yet. I know they're wanting to bench him. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm going with the Giants. And then I also like let's see, who was it? I like the Chiefs to bounce back against the Raiders. I know they're at the Raiders. Lines was 9.5, I believe. Remember correctly. I think they're just going to bounce back, trying to figure out a way, kind of give the Raiders something to not look forward to this weekend. So we'll see what happens there. But those are our picks of the weekend. Follow them if you want. I know last weekend was a little mediocre.
I went over 500 on both. So follow mine if you want.
I had the most wins in the NFL.
By one. But college, I got them by like 4 guys. So
you got them by 4. We'll see. But with that being said, before we get to Kobe's locks of the weekend, we got Big Boy's favorite. We're pumped to be here in person with him to do it. Longhorns in the NFL. Who do we got, Big Boy?
All right, guys. We got Quandre Diggs had 13 tackles. He played a good game, man. He's coming up. The rest of them are my special team Giants for Justin Tucker, 2 for 2 with 4 PATs. Michael Dixon had 4 points for 4 punts for 202 yards. And 2 of them inside 20. So that was good. And Cameron Dicker, he was also 2 for 2 on field goals and PATs.
I have a question. A&M's 12th man, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that like a special teams thing?
Well, usually the 12th man does run down on kickoff.
Right. So it's a special teams type of thing.
I think it's like kicker and punter, but
Okay. Well, either way, who's doing better in the NFL on special teams?
Well, that's true.
Texas.
special teams view.
Texas should have be the new 12th man.
There you go. That's a good point.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because what 12th man is in the NFL?
Well, most of them are walking.
Okay, right. Anyway, what special teams person you hear from A&M in the NFL? I don't know. You can't name them.
It's true.
It's Texas. Special teams, you baby.
Special teams, you.
He said it.
We definitely are a kicker.
Kicker, you for sure. For sure.
All right. Well,
That's
that's
goodbye to A&M.
the Longhorns in the NFL right there from Big Boy. Now we're gonna go over to Kobe's locks of the weekend. Since we're recording a little different this week because of Thanksgiving, he could not join us. But his episode 10 locks of the weekend, he had starting in the NFL ranks. Packers +8 he loves against the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. The Bills +3.5 against the Eagles.
That's a big pick there.
I'm pretty sure it's at the Eagles too.
I don't think the Bills have really looked sloppy.
They're gonna bounce back. I mean, they're gonna have to.
Has to be eventually, right?
Yeah.
And then he also said he likes the Rams in a pick'em. It's down to a pick'em now. I know we had it at 0.5, I think. It's pretty much the same shit. But he likes the Rams in the pick'em. And then he also said Chargers +3.5, but he also likes them to win outright on Sunday night again or Monday night against the Ravens. So those are his NFL ones.
Yeah.
Ain't happening, Kobe. We'll see. All right, jumping over to NCAA. He likes Mississippi State +10 against Ole Miss on Thanksgiving Day. We'll see about that. I mean, rivalry game, you never know. Mississippi State's bad, though.
Oh, it's awful.
They are bad. So we'll see there. Iowa +2.5. Kind of weird line. He likes them against Nebraska.
I think here's one thing about Nebraska, though. Nebraska is fighting for a bowl game this week. And Matt Rule's good, man. You've seen what Matt Rule's done in the past. Hey, I think Nebraska might go get it done this week.
I was on Iowa too, and thinking about it, honestly, like they got their spot clinched in the Big Ten championship, right? No playoff hopes. So they could be definitely a trap game at Nebraska. They're kind of looking ahead to that Big Ten championship game. Maybe they've been practicing for one of or both Ohio State and Michigan the last 2 weeks. Not really looking at Nebraska, right? Losing to them it doesn't hurt them in the end of the day. They're not making the playoffs. They're already in the Big Ten championship. So we'll see what happens there. Then OSU, which I think he meant Ohio State. I don't know if that's what I'm assuming.
Yes,
Ohio State +3.5 against Michigan. Hoops, only one.
I'm the only one right.
Right.
Big blue, man. Hey, they're gonna play for Harbaugh this week.
Fucking cheaters are going.
No. They're gonna play for Harbaugh this week. I think they're gonna get it done. I'm riding Big Blue. Shout out my boy Bill. Big Blue.
Well, Big Blue it is. And then his last one, interesting one, money line. He doesn't even want the points. South Carolina against Clemson.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Doesn't even want the points instead. He wants just a straight up money line on that. So that is Kobe's locks in the weekend every week right here on the Sports Roundtable Trio Edition. Make sure you tune in next week's episode. We have him back. We'll talk about his picks, and of course, we'll get some new ones next week. But before we wrap it up, do we got anything else going into this weekend, guys?
Eat a lot of turkey. That's my goal.
Eat a lot of turkey and watch some good football.
Yes, definitely.
No, y'all have a good Thanksgiving break. Have a good Thanksgiving. And hey,
Yeah, thanks everybody.
make some money.
Yeah.
Make some money.
Make some money with the picks. Share the love. We all love the love. We got some new things coming, hopefully in these next couple of weeks that will be out to y'all shortly. Get us to 100 subscribers. Maybe we'll make the drop when we hit 100.
Have a good Thanksgiving break.
Subscribers
Yeah.
right there. You know, I
We're
think
gonna get it this week, so we better get
Let's get it. Let's get it.
I think we're 6 away, so we'll be ready. But that's all the time we have today on the Sports Roundtable Trio Edition. We'll see y'all next week. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave us some comments, right? Give us some questions. We'll answer some questions next week. How about that?
Big boy, what do you do?
Ring that bell.
Ding, ding, ding.
Hey, remember, it's not about the score, but it's about how much money you got on the game. Thanks for tuning in to the shit show we call a podcast. Peace.
Happy Thanksgiving.